A text field component will accept a single line of text as input from the user. All of the normal editing of text entry is provided by the component. It allows for backspacing, moving the cursor with the mouse. It even provides for cutting and pasting text. Now, this program implements the Action Listener interface, which I'm sure you remember is the interface that was used to receive action events from buttons. Well, there's no button in this example, but action events are also issued by the text field component. It happens whenever you hit the return key. I'll show you how that works in a minute. This program has two text fields. We're sort of simulating a window used to input a username and a password. It's a bit incomplete because normally a username and password window have labels that specify what the text fields are for and a button that says enter or submit or something. I don't bother with all that because we haven't gotten to the fancy layout manager stuff that we'll need to do all of that. This program just has the two text field components. The make panel method is simple enough. First, we create a new text field object, store its address in a reference named username. Then we add this object to its internal list of action listener objects. Then we insert it into the panel. Then this same process is repeated with the password text field, but there is one difference. This method, setEchoChar, is called, instructing the text area to display its contents a little differently. Instead of simply echoing whatever is typed into it, this text field is instructed to display an asterisk instead of the actual characters. This asterisk thing is some sort of password tradition. I tried using question marks once and got no end of confused responses from the users. I tried using small x's once, but then the users all started using XXXXXX for their passwords. Here's the method that's called from the text field objects. By the way, the general term for methods or functions that do this job is callback. It's named that because you give its name and address to some object that goes off on its own and does something, and then calls your program back from wherever it is to tell you what happened. This is not anything new. This technique of reporting events has been around for a lot of years. The first thing we do in this method is check the source of the event. You may remember that in an earlier example we called this getSource method on an item event object passed to the callback item state changed method. Well, this method is actually part of the AWT event class, which is a superclass to both of these events, which means that the method is the same for both of them. In fact, every event issued by an AWT component is a subclass of the AWT event class, so they all have this method in common. It's kind of convenient to know that you can always find out where these things came from. Anyway, if we find out that this event came from the username text field, we print out a line of text that says so. In similar fashion, if this event came from the password text field, we print out a line of text saying that. In either case, we call the getText method of both text field objects and print the username and password. That's all there is to the program, but the text field brings some capabilities with it. Let me show you. Once you enter the username, you can either use the Tab key or click with the mouse to move the focus to the next field. Whenever you have more than one text entry component in a window, one of them will have what is known as the keyboard focus, or sometimes it's just called the focus. Anyway, whichever one has the current focus is the one that will receive all the input from the keyboard. Once you have entered a username, the focus is switched to the password field for entry. Pressing the Enter key causes the callback method to be called. As you can see, the username and password were both made available inside the program. But the text field has more powers. It contains all the standard stuff. For example, you can use the right button to pull down a menu. Then text can be copied from one place and pasted into another.